Right folks, how's it going? Bit of a update for you. Let's go through the usual stuff before I get to my moves. So my portfolio since the last one on the 8th of August. Is that 3 weeks again? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Yeah, so I'm roughly flat and all three of my comparators have done way better, about 1% higher. And so it's pretty much the same as last year. I'm just about to lose out. Well, I'm losing out to Life Strategy 100, and my kind of arbitrary date for my year end is the 6th of October. So chances are it's going to be the same as last year. I end up losing out. I'm slightly beating Life Strategy 80 though, which is probably the closest comparator, considering I'm taking money out of the portfolio to live off. But yeah, it's still not very good, and also as always, it's terrible from 2017 onwards. It's terrible compared to all three of them. Let's have a look at my dividend information. I've had 969 in the last 4 weeks. Increase in my dividends received. You can see there I'm up to 12. Looks like it's going to be about a 7.37% increase from the year before, but obviously this measure of the dividends doesn't take into account inflows or outflows of the portfolio, which then probably leads me on to my next part of my update, which is that on the 29th of August I added £2,000 to the portfolio, and then on the 3rd of August, well, I actually, in my mind, I added £4,000 on the 29th, which is why my unitisation spreadsheet has £4,000 being added to the portfolio here. And then I was just thinking I'd put the money into Legal and General in 2 swaves, which is exactly what ended up happening. I put a load of money in on the 29th. I think the I can't remember exactly. I think the 10-year bond yield for UK gilts went really high on the 29th, and it affected all the banking stocks, but it also affected less so Legal and General. It went down by a couple of percent, so I thought I'd just put a couple of grand in there. And then on the 3rd of September, it dropped. Legal and General dropped even more, and I added the second £2,000. So we can see now that I've got £4,000 into Legal and General, which is just down by a couple of percentage points. What I've decided to do with Legal and General is reinvest 40% of the dividend. That's why here my yield for it shows as 5.5%. So recently they kind of refocused on doing more buybacks and less dividend growth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manufacture the dividend growth by reinvesting 40% of it. I mean, as usual, if Legal and General goes on a good run and I don't see as much value in there, I might reinvest the dividends in a different stock, a different dividend paying stock. I don't know. Who knows what will end up happening. Yeah, so if they increase, I think last year's increase in the dividend was 2%-ish. So if they increase it by 2% going forward, I will be investing. See, I've got a yield of 5.5 there, but if I multiply by 1 instead, it's actually a yield of 9.16 underlying. So there's a few percent of my holding will be reinvested, so that my dividend would probably go up by, I don't know, 5% maybe, if they raised it by 2. So it just gives me dividend growth, and as usual, it kind of gives me less of a barrier. If I were to want to sell Legal and General and buy something else, it's a less of a barrier to hurdle over to keep my income as it was before. Yeah, so there's my 4% in Legal and General. It puts my cash pretty low. I've just got a bit greedy. I mean, 20 grand was my kind of benchmark, and I've decided just to go down to 17 grand of cash outside the portfolio. I think these numbers are from 30th of August, so what's that, about a week ago. That was my cash levels in all my different accounts. But yeah, 17 grand's a big enough buffer. Who knows, if there's a good run at some point, I might just sell 4 grand or something, or 3 grand or something, and get myself back up to 20 grand. Take it out of the portfolio, who knows. And then the other thing I did was, I've just decided to give up on Fundsmith, basically. I think I've decided that his philosophy's good, but I just feel like he's too old. No matter what his philosophy is, picking the companies that end up flourishing in the way his philosophy wants his ability to pick those companies, I think he might just be a bit too old for now. He's over 70, and you know, time catches up with us all, I think. So what I've done is I've just kept the ones that I fancy myself, rather than the ones that he picked. So a lot of it's down to Joseph Carlson. So I've kept a few of his holdings, and I've kept some Fundsmith ones, but they're kind of the obvious ones. So this isn't like a special Fundsmith pick that no other fund managers have. Are they? These three. They're like actually those four, because Fundsmith doesn't own Amazon. But yeah, those four are just kind of obvious ones. They're the top. They're in the top 10 biggest companies in the world. So nothing special there. And I kept some of the ones I just like. I like Costco because I know for sure I would be a customer of Costco if I lived in America. In fact, I believe there's one or two in England now, but it's been so long since I lived in England that I wasn't aware. But I saw one of the YouTubers I follow. He happened to go to Costco in his motorhome, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realise they existed in England. Also, I went quite regularly to a very similar place in South Korea. I think it's called Traders. It seemed very similar to Costco, and I just loved it there. Everything was really cheap. Especially, you could get really nice pizza there, because that's the thing I'm finding in Asia. Pizza is mega expensive. Having just come from the Balkans, where it was like £3.50 for a nice sized pizza, it's like £8 here. But yeah, in this trader place, you could get really nice pizza, a couple of really big, nice pizza slices. Couldn't get anywhere near that value anywhere else. So I figured if Costco in America and around the world is similar to that place in South Korea, which I think it is, it's the kind of thing I feel good about investing in, because I know I would love to be a customer of theirs. So yeah, I kept Costco. CrowdStrike is quite exciting, just because I think cyber security is going to continue to be a growth area. I dropped Fortinet just because that was a Fundsmith pick, and younger people, I don't know. I figured one in there would be enough, one in that area, and then S&P Global. I don't know why. I just kind of I don't know, no idea. I just kind of got a good feeling about it. And Booking Holdings again. I'm a regular customer of theirs. I'm travelling all the time, so it feels good to own something that you're a customer of. I don't know why. It's probably a terrible philosophy on investing, but that's how I feel. And then just ASML, I feel like it's undervalued. It's in a monopoly. No one else seems to be able to create the machines they create. It's very cyclical though, apparently, so in a way that's good. I feel like it might be ready for a cycle up. So this is the part of the portfolio that I've kept. So that's about 12,559 of it. In fact, I'll show you the ones that I've sold. All the stuff I've sold from that portfolio I've added to SPDR. ACWI, basically. It's basically a similar tracker to the VWRP that I put a load of other money in previously. So you can see here on the 5th of September. This is in reverse time order. I've sold Metler Toledo, bought MSCI, ACWI, sold Moody's Waters, Moody's Waters, Zoetis, bought ACWI. Yeah, I just felt more comfortable doing it piecemeal. I wasn't sure if you put in like a 13 grand order for one ETF, even though it was a massive one. I wasn't sure if maybe you might get a slightly worse price if you did it all in one go. I wasn't quite sure, but this is like a 3 billion ETF, so I doubt it would have been a problem at 13 grand. But because this platform doesn't charge anything for the trades, why not just do it piecemeal? So I sold a couple of things, put all that money into ACWI, and just repeated that a load of times. So yeah, Procter & Gamble, Otis, Novo Nordisk, McDonald's, Marriott, Intuit, Stryker. Glad to be out of Marriott, because it's just one of these posh things. That's what I just saw that he kept buying things where the customers are really wealthy, because he's really wealthy. I feel like he's got this tunnel vision that expensive things are good and you're going to make lots of money out of them. I just feel like, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me. If I'm going to own stuff like that, I'd rather it be out of my control. So like, I don't mind if like JGGI or F&C Investment Trust bought stuff like that, because then at least it's not me doing it, But for this portfolio where I was controlling it myself, it didn't feel right owning these things where I could never imagine being a customer. But yeah, and that's one of the things, Marriott, and then you know, the straw that broke the camel's back was, if we looked at, was this one. They're Ray-Bans, and in a similar fashion to Nike, I was I'm in Malaysia at the moment, Kuala Lumpur. I was in a shopping centre, and I happened to see a Ray-Ban shop, and as with the Nike shops, it was empty. So I just don't get it. You know, I don't get this sort of thing, and it just made me think. You know, this guy's rich. He's old. He seems to like things that are of no interest to me. So it doesn't feel comfortable me owning stuff that he wants to own. So yeah, I've just basically torn that pretty much in half. Well, less than half actually. That portfolio. I've put well, the cost basis was 13,755. I'm kind of regretting choosing VWRP. I can't remember the exact reasons why I chose it over ACWI the first time when I put a load of money into it from City of London. I think it was the spread, but then when I think about it, that spread, it only takes like 1 year of performance of owning before the spread for the tiny amount I sell each year, or like the 4% I sell each year, it doesn't take long before you've made up for it with the lower charges of 0.12 compared to 0.22. So I think I've made a mistake going for this one. I mean, I can always swap it. It would only cost me 20 quid because I've got 2 holdings of VWRP. It would cost me 20 quid in fees and a tiny spread to swap it for ACWI. So I might do that at some point. And that would only take about a year to make up for in the lower fees. But you know, it's not just the fees that dictate the performance. They are actually tracking different indexes. This is the MSCI ACWI, and this is the FTSE All World. Now the FTSE All World has maybe 1,000 more companies in it or something, so it's more diversified. So I mean, that tells me there's more smaller companies. So I mean, my portfolio is heavily underweighted all them big companies. So if anything, I should probably go for the one that has less of the really the smaller companies that are in, not like officially smaller companies. I just mean the bottom end of what goes into this market, because obviously neither of these indexes have official like smaller companies. Not like the all cap open-ended fund that you can get from Vanguard. Not like that. It's just the lower end of the bigger companies is what I'm talking about. So yeah, bit annoying, and because of that, because I changed my mind in between, I've now got 2 rows, which should really just be 1 row. That's why here I've merged the cells. Now adding this over half of that Fundsmith portfolio means that I can take the same amount of dividend and lower the yield, because what I've done is I've just taken this number here, which I've now renamed Trading 212 Pi, because it's no longer Fundsmith Reflection. So the dividends that came from there I've just added to here, so you'll see there 05Sep2025 has come off this number, so I've added it there, and I've summed the 2 holdings together, and my yield is now 3.27. So it makes this progressive sell-off of my all-world trackers to generate income. It's made that more robust as well, because there's obviously the Fundsmith stuff I put into there were lower yielders to start with, so I've lowered the yield to 3.27%. I can't remember what it was before. I guess it's 1,200.74 equals 1,200.74 divided by, it was just this holding, wasn't it? So it was over 4% before. 4.29% roughly. So yeah, that makes this a lot more comfortable. You know, we can have bigger falls in these 2 now without me having to reduce my dividend or take a really high current percentage of the portfolio when I sell for my income. So this move served 2 purposes. It got me out of Fundsmith, and it made this yield lower and more sustainable for the long term, hopefully. So yeah, that's all the changes there. And I forgot to show you where that performance came from. So we can see here, Next Energy's done really badly over that time period. So is the Renewables Energy Group. SDCL's kind of staying flattish. GSK's done okay. Scottish Mortgage has done okay. Montenegro European smaller companies. It's kind of come off the boil. It had a good little period, and now it's come off the boil. Oh yeah, and small cap 600 index has done all right as well by the looks of it. Anyway, there's the numbers, and then for the few that's left in Fundsmith, well, I'm gonna have to rename that, aren't I? Actually, let's rename it now, shall we? I hope my other. Let's just call it Trading 212, shall we? Hopefully this still remembers the reference and gets the data still. Yeah, that'd be pretty dumb, wouldn't it, if it didn't keep that? Yeah, there we go. It's changed their cell references. Yeah, and oh yeah, of course, Alphabet had that. It had that legal judgment, didn't it? That Chrome doesn't have to be sold off. So it had a bit of a bump, up 16% in the past 4 weeks. Amazon and ASML doing pretty well as well, and Microsoft. Oh yeah, and the other thing I noticed that a few days ago, Fundsmith, Microsoft has gone from being like, I think it was second in Fundsmith before, and if we look now, it has gone right down to, what's that, 6th? So, oh no, 7th. Yeah, so he's obviously, well, I presume he's having outflows, but it seems like rather than just selling the whole portfolio, he seems to be selling Microsoft for some reason. So I don't know. Maybe he's going for, there's going to be an AI boom, and I'm going to make my portfolio not get hit by it as much as the market as a whole. Maybe that's his philosophy. But you would have thought Meta would be involved in that as well. But I mean, I guess they're kind of AI users rather than AI providers, aren't they, at Meta? I don't know. Maybe that's his thoughts. But who knows? Yeah. So I mean, I haven't sold down Microsoft, but yeah. I mean, I'm veering away from Fundsmith anyway. So just something of note there that he sold. He seems to be selling down Microsoft. I'm going to guess that he's not going to sell it completely. My theory is that at 7th in the portfolio, I reckon that's probably about the weighting that Microsoft is in the all-world index. That's going to be my guess. So I have a sneaky feeling he's just getting himself neutral on Microsoft, rather than actually going heading for selling the whole thing. That's my guess. Anyway, we'll see. All right, I think that's it for all of the finance stuff. I haven't shown any pictures for a while, so I've just copied over all of my photos. Let's have a look at them. What's this? Oh yeah, I booked a bus ticket from Daejeon in South Korea to back to Seoul, or no, Incheon, which is just near Seoul. And I thought it was a transit van because when you booked the seat, there was hardly any seats. But no, it was a huge coach, and you got these luxurious seats. It was only like an hour and 20 minutes or something. But yeah, nice. And I just thought I'd take a photo of it. Oops. Oh, every car in South Korea was like Kia, Hyundai, Genesis. Obviously, it makes sense, you know, it's their local manufacturers, and there's all sorts of different models. This was one that I saw on that same coach. There was just a tiny little vehicle. I don't know, it just looked cool. This is just my bus. What happens is I travel on my travel days. I get bored on the travel days, and also my mum gets anxious on my travel days. So she always says to me, "Make sure you send me loads of photos on your way." So at each stage of my journey, I take a little photo and I send my mum a little WhatsApp. So these are just the photos from that, and so I'll say to her, "Oh yeah, I'm on the local bus now." What local bus was this? Oh, this was from Incheon bus station to my Airbnb, I think. Real good bus system where you just kind of you buy a card for like, I think it was about £2 for the card. You just tap this thing when you get on it. Oh no, sorry, no, you get in the front, you tap it on there, and then when you leave, you tap it off there. And it's really good because if you have a 2-leg journey, it doesn't charge you like the high up front. You pay more for the first one, but then if you catch your second bus or your second tram within half an hour, it just adds a tiny amount to it. It doesn't add the full amount at the start. So you can have one journey that could have 4 different buses or trams or undergrounds, but it's still a sensible amount of money that you get charged. So it's really cool. The whole system there was great. And this just made me laugh. I was just baffled. Print and ice cream. I wasn't, and I mean, yeah, the picture makes sense. It wasn't a mistranslation. I was just like, oh yeah, what a great combination. So random. But I mean, that wasn't one of those places. And then this is my early morning bus journey to the airport in Incheon. I was catching the plane to Kuala Lumpur. And there's me at the airport waiting to catch the plane. 7 kilogram limit, so I had all sorts of things in my pockets, weighing my pockets down, and I had this little strap-on bag that was hidden under 2 t-shirts. I put my 2 extra t-shirts on top of my long sleeve one, so that my bag was 7 kilograms, because I saw people getting the bags weighed, and I saw one guy being charged a load of money because he was overweight. So to get myself down to 7 kilograms, I was completely weighed down by all sorts of things dangling off my body, while hidden underneath my t-shirt. And yeah, one of the t-shirts, well, I threw away a load of clothes as well before I even went. It's worth it though, because it's so hot, I don't need any of my clothes. Yeah, just waiting for the airport, waiting for the plane to get going, and one from the wing of the plane. And I think this is me going into, oh yeah, this is me on the monorail. So I've skipped my bus journey here. There was obviously no pictures of the bus journey. This is the monorail from the central bus station to my Airbnb. And that's the building my Airbnb's in. And that's a little river a little lake nearby that I go and walk around every couple of days, just for the exercise. And this is me eating with a cat the other day. I'm about to leave Kuala Lumpur. Anyway, there's all my photos. But that's longer than what I normally do, isn't it? I don't normally talk about them. Alright, I guess that's it then, folks. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.